Hi, and welcome to Cooking Fast and Light. I am using recipes with 5-ish ingredients or less because I really want to break down the barrier to healthy eating. I feel like eating well should not have to take a lot of time, and healthy food should taste really good. So welcome, my name is Judy Mateski. I am a registered dietitian, nutritionist, and I'm also a culinary nutritionist with Athens Nutrition. So welcome today. Welcome to all of you that are joining live. Thanks for jumping in at 12 o'clock today, and also to anyone who might be watching this as a recording. All right, so today we are making 15-minute shrimp tacos. And just as a little forward here about the ingredients, I'm calling this 5-ish ingredients or less because today we're actually using a little bit more than 5, but I think you'll forgive me because this is such an easy, simple weeknight recipe that I think it's okay that it has a few more ingredients than 5. So why don't we go ahead and get started. Let's talk a little bit about the ingredients that we're going to be using today. We are obviously going to be using shrimp. And I just love shrimp. It is one of my fastest go-to weeknight meals because I love it because if you forget to take it out of the freezer the morning when you head off to work, it doesn't matter because you can just defrost it so quickly. So it's really one of my go-tos because it cooks really fast, it defrosts fast, it's so versatile, you can use it in so many things. So that's going to be the star ingredient of our tacos today. And we're also going to be using a really quick, easy, like cabbage slaw that's going to go on top of that. And obviously we're going to be using some tortillas. So why don't we go ahead and get started? All right, I'm going to go ahead and warm up this pan because I kind of want to get this started because we want to get these shrimp on as soon as we can. All right, so let's get that on. And let's just start right in with the shrimp. Now, I am all about using lots of different spices. I have a cabinet full of them. So a lot of times when I am making other types of tacos or fish tacos, I often do make my own spice blends. But there is no shame in buying packaged ingredients, at least in healthy ways, right? Ways that you can use them to add flavor without, adding a lot of time, right? So these little taco packets are fantastic. We're not using a lot. So there's just enough for flavor, but we're not overdoing it with the sodium. So all we're going to do is we're going to take our shrimp and we're just going to add about a tablespoon. Now I have, the recipe I think says 1 pound of shrimp. You can really use obviously as much as you want. I have more than that in here because I am all about cooking once and then maybe eating, 2 or 3 times. So this is probably more like 2 pounds of shrimp. So I am going to put a little bit more than a tablespoon of this taco mix in here because I'm going to then cook this all off. Some of this is going to be, we'll eat it today for tacos, but then the leftover shrimp is going to become like a taco salad tomorrow over some lettuce, tomatoes, a little bit of avocado, and that's going to make a great lunch. So whenever you're cooking and you can do that, definitely cook more. Why not? If you already have everything out, right? All right, so we're going to mix this together. So it's just a tablespoon of the chili powder, of the taco seasoning mix. And then we're gonna add just a teaspoon or so of garlic powder. And again, this is kind of like another great little hack. I am all about fresh garlic and I use it often. But sometimes when you're coming home late or you're trying to put a meal together and you don't really want to have to chop your garlic or mince your garlic, there's nothing wrong with garlic powder. My goodness, use it. I wouldn't use the garlic salt because we don't really need the extra sodium. We really just want to use the powder. But definitely keep, onion powder, garlic powder, all of those things in your pantry because sometimes when you don't have the time to chop some of the fresher alliums, then this is a great go-to. All right, we're going to do a little bit of cracked pepper. Now we don't need to add any salt to this because the taco mix already has sodium and salt added to it. So we're just really doing a little quick mix of the shrimp with the seasoning packet and the garlic powder and a little ground pepper. And that's really it for this. It seems like not enough to really give it flavor, but believe me, it really does. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna let this sit just for a few minutes so that it can kind of pick up a little bit more of that taco or that, you know, spice blend. So I'm going to set this aside. Now we're going to make our coleslaw, our creamy coleslaw. Super easy. Now, again, if you have the time and you want to get a head of cabbage, purple cabbage, you know, the white cabbage, chop it up and that's great. I do that often. I have to admit, I rarely buy produce or like lettuce or things in a bag. Not that there's anything wrong with it. My goodness, there is no shame in using things out of a bag. It makes, again, weeknight meals so much faster. So please, it's fine to use nutritionally. The nutrients and the phytochemicals are still in here, even though this has been somewhat processed in a sense that it's been pre-chopped. The reason I usually use fresh is just because I do tend to like the flavor a little bit better. So if I have the time, I will chop, you know, the cabbage or chop up my produce, certainly, because I just think it tastes a little bit better to me. But with this slaw, it really doesn't almost make a difference whether you're using fresh or whether you're using it out of the bag. I was going to pick up, the recipe calls for like just one bag of like the coleslaw blend, which is cabbage and carrots and maybe a little bit of red cabbage in it as well. They didn't have it. I went to Acme, they didn't have it. So I picked up just a bag of pre-shredded purple cabbage. So I'm going to drop this in. And then I just, for a little extra color, I just grabbed some shredded carrots so we can add them to it. Okay. So that's really going to be the base to our slaw. And what we're going to use to make it creamy, I'm just going to move this off for a little bit because it's heating up. What we're going to use to make it creamy is another really great hack. And this is, I use this method for any cream-based dressings that I make. So if you're making like a tuna salad or a chicken salad or an egg salad, to lighten it up a little bit, because mayonnaise, although it is a healthy fat, it's made from a plant-based oil, usually soybean oil, sometimes canola or sometimes olive oil. It is a little heavy, you know, and if you want to try to lighten it up, what I'll do is I'll add a yogurt to it. And if you can add a plain Greek yogurt, I would go non-fat for this because we're picking up the healthy fat from the mayonnaise. We don't necessarily need extra fat from the yogurt. So this is sort of a European style. I just happen to have it in my refrigerator. But you're going to use about a half of a cup, give or take, of the yogurt. So you're using a half a cup to about a quarter of a cup of the mayonnaise. So we're going to put more yogurt to mayonnaise into this. And it gives you that nice creamy texture that you're looking for without the, what did I do with my other, oh, it's over there. Okay, let me just grab another one. Without it being, you know, quite so super heavy. So we're going to use about a quarter of a cup of the mayonnaise, and it doesn't have to be light mayonnaise. I think, again, I feel like, you know, when we were back in the 90s, everything was about low fat. And that's not necessarily what we need to be focusing on today. We know that healthier fats are good for most of us. We don't have to go overboard with them, but we don't necessarily need to be purchasing a light mayonnaise. I think once you get into the lighter versions, then there's a lot of other ingredients added. Usually there's sugar added, usually there's other preservatives added. So just go with a regular mayonnaise. Again, we're lightening it up by using the yogurt, so rather than buying it already light. So about half the amount of mayonnaise to the yogurt. And we are going to use a teaspoon of the taco seasoning in this as well. So we already have that open. So we'll use about a teaspoon in here. And a little bit of ground pepper. And we're going to do a fresh lime juice in here. All right, a fresh lime juice from a fresh lime. So I have it already cut, and this doesn't even look like there's any seeds in here. So I'm going to just squeeze the whole thing in. So if you have a a huge lime, maybe you don't need the whole thing, but I would say just an average lime. So we'll squeeze this in. And again, you don't really need to add any extra salt to this because, again, that taco seasoning, you know, really adds enough sodium, so it adds that little bit of flavor that you need without it being, you know, excessively high in salt. Okay, so the slaw, just make sure I have my recipe because there's not much in it. So it's the yogurt, it's the mayonnaise, the lime juice, the taco seasoning, and a ground pepper, and that's it. And so let's just, you know, mix this together. And we've got our, I'm gonna pull this back, and we've got our slaw pretty much made, all right? Super easy. And it really does, I think when you're making tacos, I feel like it kind of needs this crunchy, creamy sort of addition to it. If you wanted to, if you really like spice, by all means, you know, drop in some hot sauce. I'm gonna just top the tacos with a little hot sauce when we're finished. But if you wanna add it now into this, you can certainly go ahead and do that. Okay, so our slaw's made. Now we're just gonna add a little bit of oil. I got olive oil just because that's always what I cook with. You could use canola oil, you could use vegetable oil. It's, you know, for this in particular, it's up to you, but olive oil is always my go-to. So about it, you know, tablespoon or so of olive oil. So let's just drop in we'll drop in the shrimp. All right, I'm gonna turn the heat up now because I really want this to get this going. All right, so like I said, I have 2 pounds in here. So this may end up taking a little bit longer just because I'm kind of crowding the pan, but I'm gonna turn the heat up so I can really get these going. Because you know shrimp, I mean, it takes a few seconds for these to cook. Once they start getting pink, then you can really flip them around. So while they're cooking, let's talk about, let me just put this aside here. Let's talk about a bonus recipe that I'm adding to this. So these tacos, just as is, with the taco shell, or the taco, the tortilla and the shrimp and the creamy coleslaw. That's it. The little hot sauce, you're good to go. If you want to take it to another level a little bit and you want to add more, I'm adding a bonus recipe, which is some pickled jalapeno peppers. And it's super simple. It's just a pickling. The pickling brine is just some water, white vinegar, a tiny bit of sugar, and a little bit of salt. That's it. So you put this together. I sliced up some jalapeno peppers, put them in. I just did it half an hour before we went live. And what I love about this is when you go to the link for this particular recipe, the link's going to take you to a recipe for brining vegetables. So it's the same brine that you can use for these jalapeno peppers, or you can use it for any kind of vegetable. So I do a lot of pickling of vegetables, so I will often just do cabbage in this. I will do carrots in this. I will do regular peppers in it. I do a lot of onions in this. And what's great about it is if you have some extra vegetables, then pickle them, because then they last so much longer in the refrigerator, and they're great just to add to sandwiches. They're great to add to salads, tacos, which we're obviously making. And so anyway, that's in the recipe as a little bonus. All right. The tortillas that I'm using are ones, I've looked long and hard to find like a good tortilla. I'm not sure how I don't know, the ones that I buy from the store, the corn tortillas are great. So if you're gluten-free, then this recipe, all of this is gluten-free, although before I say that, I should double check the packet. We'll have to double check this taco seasoning because this may not be gluten-free. But if you're using a corn tortilla, the corn tortillas are gluten-free, which is nice. It's just 100% whole corn. But they tend to fall apart for me. So every time I use them, I don't know, you're trying to eat it and then they're breaking apart and everything's falling out. So I sometimes will use like a whole wheat, like 100% whole wheat tortilla, but I do prefer the corn. So I found these at Trader Joe's. I don't know, with the lighting, I know it's hard to see these labels. They're just a corn and wheat tortilla. So these are not gluten-free. So that's just something to be aware of. But what I love about them is that they're just heavier. They hold up better. They don't fall apart. You don't need to layer 2 or 3 of them together to make your taco. So these are really a nice little find. And as far as like warming them up, because I do think that tortillas are always better when they're warmed up, I usually put them in a damp, which I'll just kind of do that right now. I usually just put them in a damp cloth, and I pop them in the microwave just because that's a little bit easier. If I happen to have another pan on the stove that I maybe have been sauteing something else in, I will, then I'll just brown them right in the pan real quick. But let me just, excuse me here, so let me pop those in. I'll just put them in for like 20 seconds. All right, so our shrimp is coming along. You can smell it. I mean, it smells really good for not having a whole lot other than that taco seasoning added and a little bit of the garlic powder, but it smells great. So these are really cooking. And remember, shrimp is, not only is it fast and easy, but it is a very high protein source in a sense that it is, you know, it's as high as any fish or any chicken, ounce per ounce. And it pretty much is just protein. So when you're eating something like a white fish, you know, whether it's cod or haddock or whether it's halibut or shrimp, oysters for that matter, clams, mussels, their macronutrient makeup is pretty much just protein. There's almost no carbohydrate in them, and there is almost no fat in them. So when you're eating them, you are really just getting pure protein. So 3 ounces of shrimp is about 21 grams of protein, which is like the amount that we would want at a meal. So that's really nice because they are a real fast, easy protein source. If you're a vegetarian and you wanted to do this, you know, I know that always the fallback is always to use tofu or tempeh, but I think I would use tempeh in this because I feel like the tempeh would give it more texture than the tofu would. If you're using tofu, you'd want to really use a nice firm tofu and probably press it so you can get some extra water out of it, and then season it with the taco seasoning, and then you'll want to brown the tofu in the pan. But that would work really well, and I have done that. You know, if I have tofu, I will often just do a quick tofu taco. Great, works really, really well. But I think I like the idea of tempeh because I think tempeh would just give it a little bit more texture. Okay, these shrimp's done. All right, so we've got. You just don't really want to overcook it. You know, I'm just going to move it off the heat because it's going to cook a little bit more. There's like always that residual heat at the bottom of the pan. So move it off heat. And if you really think it's done, I would just take it out of the pan. You know, I'm not going to do that right now, but I'm just going to move it kind of off to the side. All right. So we have the tortillas are done. So excuse me again as I reach through here. And let me pull this together for you. Sorry, I'm off camera. All right. So let me grab a plate. All right. So we've got our little corn and wheat tortilla. And let me grab, again, with my favorite, this is my all-time favorite kitchen tool, or tongs, by all means. So, you know, maybe, you know, four or 5 shrimp in here. All right. Then we're going to get we'll put the slaw right on top. And I would also, all right, so because the whole idea here is, you know, 5-ish ingredients or less, right? So you can keep going with this, and by all means do. If you have avocados or you have a little guacamole and you wanted to do a dollop of that on top, go for it. I'm not going to do that, but I do have some fresh parsley. The cilantro would be great. We're just not a real big cilantro family, so I usually end up having parsley more than I do cilantro. So I'm just, again, it's, you know, when I feel like when you're cooking healthy, you really do want it to taste good, but you also want it to look really nice, particularly when you're serving it to other people. So a little sprinkle of parsley, and I have a little hot sauce, so I'm just going to do a couple dabs of that on top. And then I would serve this with, because if you have the lime anyway, I've just bought some extra lime. I would serve it with just like a little wedge of lime so that you can sprinkle a little bit of that on top. All right, so we have our taco, or 15-minute taco, and I think we did it in 15 minutes. I'm not really sure exactly, but so anyway, all right, so here it is. This is a super fast, easy weeknight meal. You can embellish it with more things if you have chopped tomatoes, or like I said, guacamole, or if you have avocados, that'd be great. But it is really good as is. This is a super fast, easy weeknight meal. If you want more recipes, please go to our website so that you can sign up for our newsletters and our free recipe download, and then you have access to hundreds of other recipes that we have available for you. And plus, you'll get notified when new recipes are being posted. So please do that. We will put this link up on the Facebook page is in the comments so that you'll have this recipe just to go ahead and link to. And just, be on the lookout. I'll be back next week, next Thursday, with another cooking fast and light recipe. So I hope you're around, but if not, all of these videos are recorded. So they're on the Athens Nutrition Facebook page. You just have to find the video section. And so all of our cooking demos will be there if you wanted to rewatch them, or if you want to share them with a friend that you think might really benefit from some of these cooking tips. All right. Thanks again for joining. You guys have a great day. Stay healthy and eat well. Take care. Bye-bye now.